All right, so I'm pulling a clip from TikTok. This is a news reporter. I don't think he's solo. I don't know. I'm not here. I guess Newsmax is who he's with. He is asking this preacher, who I guess was a spokesperson for Karmelo Anthony, asking him some very crucial questions, and really sticking to the facts of the case.
A Texas jury found 19-year-old Karmelo Anthony guilty of murdering 17-year-old Austin Metcalf in April of 2025 during a high school track meet in Frisco, Texas. He was just sentenced to 35 years in prison. And to lay this all out for you, due to the rain, there was bad weather. The track events were delayed that day, and Anthony, a Centennial High School student, sought shelter under a Memorial High School tent. Moments later, an argument broke out, and Anthony was asked repeatedly to leave that tent. One witness claimed Anthony responded by calling the group a name before he reached into his backpack saying, quote, "Touch me and see what happens," end quote. After some shoving, Anthony pulled out a pocket knife and stabbed Metcalf in the chest, piercing his heart. Prosecutors argued that the killing was a provoked and unjustified murder. They called 21 witnesses. The defense argued it was self-defense. Karmelo Anthony did not testify.
See, and so that's what I kept seeing. He didn't testify. All of the witnesses, mind you, were also black. Not all of them, but a good majority of them were black. That testified, not a single one of them said that Karmelo Anthony was in the right. Not a single one said that he was provoked. He was not provoked. That's what I believe anyways. I think I should make it a stance right here. I'm not for anybody dying. I'm not for, this is not a race thing for me. This is you do what's right, and there's consequences for your actions. Whether you're white, black, Asian, Latino, Latina, it doesn't matter. You do what's right, and if you do a crime, there are consequences. It is plain and simple. Karmelo Anthony was not provoked. He took matters into his own hands, the wrong way to go about it.
In his own defense, immediately after the jury's decision, protesters gathered outside claiming this was the latest example of Black lives not mattering.
But what this process did is shown that Black lives do not matter in Collin County. This trial showed that it put emotions over the law. After Trayvon Martin and so many countless names, it has shown us that Black life is not safe in Collin County.
Minister Dominique Alexander is the man that you just heard.
Dude. My God. That's just that's a crazy statement. I know if this video does numbers, I know I'm light skinned. I'm half white. I'm half black. I understand. But growing up, let's here, come in close. Ready? You guys ready for this? Ready? I'm from a very, 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 very small white town. The three letters in the alphabet that go together had a chapter here at one point. There were educational staff at one point that were heavily involved in this three-letter organization, if you're getting what I'm putting down. Middle school, high school, I was one of, I think there were five, I'm half, so I was on both sides of it, I had family. Again, it wasn't until freshman year, I believe, maybe sophomore year, where more black kids showed up. But then in those next year or two, they also left. So the number went up and then went back down. So predominantly white town, white America, if you will. I got called all kinds of names, and it's here I am. We're here. We made it. Now, it was a different time back then. I think things were said with very little thought, if that makes sense. I mean, kids just said stuff. It just said things. You moved on about your day. That no one was getting offended. Zero offense to anything, because again, we were just, that's the way the times were. Now I understand times are a little bit different now. People do get way more offended at whatever is said. It's just, I come from a different time. But to say that Collin County is not made for black people, what are we doing?
From in that video, he is a spokesman for the Anthony family. Minister, it's nice to have you on. You keep saying that black lives don't matter, but no black lives were lost here. A 17-year-old white person was killed. So what are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is 35 years. Karmela Anthony was sentenced to 35 years. Yet at the end of the day, Black America repeatedly is told that self-defense is a part of the law. That a knife under 5 inches is legal in the state of Texas.
See, and there it is again. This is where I got it from. He's like the third person I've heard say that, where a knife under 5 inches is allowed. Not on school grounds, it's not. I don't know where. It has never been a thing. Maybe pre-1900s in the schools. Weapons are not allowed on school grounds. I can open carry walking down my street. I can't open carry walking into my son's school. Where does this logic, where did it come from?
Texas. That stand your ground is legal here in the state of Texas. But when a black person try to use those same basic rights and laws, then we're not afforded those things. We're doing those things unjustifiably.
My God.
Well, that's not what a jury found today. Can you tell me, I know you know Karmelo Anthony well, why did he bring a knife to a track meet?
I can't comment on that. What I can do, I can't speak for Karmelo Anthony, but I can tell you that the state of Texas made it legal. So at the end of the day, if a person...
Bro, oh my God. Who taught him that? You don't, that's not something you just wake up and you have in your brain. Somebody taught this minister that we're in Texas. We can carry weapons wherever we want to. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Except in the places you can't carry them because you're not allowed to. That if you're watching this, I want to educate you in the best way possible. Do your research on where you are going. A lot of parks you also cannot carry weapons to. Knives, guns, bats, batons, nightsticks, anything. If it's deemed a weapon, you cannot carry it. It's the same thing for like going to school, going to a library. Do your research on where you're going. And I promise you, at that high school, again, we're in Texas, so Texas needs to cover itself by putting up signs everywhere, which they do everywhere. I promise you, at that high school, there was a sign that says, no weapons allowed on the premises. I'm willing to bet my paycheck on it.
Got a problem with it, they might need to call Governor Greg Abbott and tell him, why does this state have open carry laws? Why does it have brass knuckles and etc. Right?
Stabbing somebody in the heart, though, sir, is definitely not legal. He could have just turned around and walked out of that tent at any moment.
And after he was asked numerous times, that's exactly what he should have done. Should have walked away. Sometimes the best self-defense is walking away. Defend yourself by leaving the situation. Not everything needs to have a reaction. Take your L, walk away.
And based on what you have been told about the situation, I can see how you can take that fact. But the levels of injustice that was done in this trial is not how I was told, right? But at the end of the day, that's the reason why we're going to go through a full appeals process to ensure that the facts are being told correctly. But me and you are going to go back and forth.
No, that's fine. Tell me, I'm curious. Tell me
what you think happened. What I think is the situation is that someone asked Karmelo Anthony to come over there. He knew an individual, but that
Now, I'll agree with that. I can see that happening. Now, did that ever come up in the court? No, that never came up. But to the minister's point, I can see that being a thing.
that's not being told, right? It's like, oh, a kid just randomly went under a tent, right? And he just sitting there, no one knows who he is. That's not the case, right? We know that Karmelo Anthony knew an individual, he knew a coach, he spoke about it. We also know that Frisco ISD should have counseled that. This wasn't just raining. We were under a tornado watch that day, right? And this should have been something that was actually.
Wait, you're telling me that because somebody invited him to that tent and there might have been a tornado warning, which happened all the time in Texas, that he was warranted in stabbing a 17-year-old kid in the chest, in the heart, and killing him?
That's not the case.
That's the case he's trying to make. That is exactly what he was trying to say. I mean, he's a minister. He's in Texas. Maybe he doesn't know how sports work. Maybe he doesn't know how serious sports are here in the great state of Texas. But we don't cancel track meets. We don't cancel football games. We don't cancel anything outdoors. Soccer, we cancel nothing. We will postpone it for as long as it needs to. If there is a thunderstorm rolling through and it's lightning like crazy, they will postpone a football game for 3 hours if they need to and get back on the field at 10 o'clock at night and finish out the game. That's how it is here in Texas. I don't know about anywhere else, but here in Texas, we don't cancel things unless a tornado has ripped through and there is nothing left of the field, of the track, whatever it is. If the where the activity is taking place, if there is nothing left, then we'll cancel it. But this is Texas. We're gonna compete. It's just how it is.
But what you cannot do is put your hands on someone.
Well, you just told me that was the case.
No.
Is that the case? Because I want to know what the case is. I seriously do.
You asked me the first time, why was he under the tent or close or whatever it may be, right? The reality is that the state of Texas says that I don't have to, when I'm assaulted, I don't have to return the same level of force, correct? Isn't that the law?
Yeah, he
law.
was asked to leave that tent multiple times.
Wait. What is he saying the law in Texas is?
I don't have to return. Cannot do is put your hands on someone.
Well, you just told me that was the case.
No.
Is that the case? Because I want to know what the case is. I seriously do.
You asked me the first time, why was he under the tent or close or whatever it may be, right? The reality is that the state of Texas says that I don't have to, when I'm assaulted, I don't have to return the same level of force, correct?
You do, though. That's what that is. If someone hits me with a bat one time, I can't pull out my gun and shoot them and kill them. If it's whatever you're returning the force with, it has to match whatever you were dealt. So if someone comes up to me with a fist and punches me in the face 3 or 4 times and then stops, I can match that with a punch to the face or even a swing of a bat, but I can't keep beating on the person until they're dead. That's what's not allowed. So which I think this is what happened, since Austin grabbed Karmelo by the shoulder, or wherever he grabbed him at, shoulder, side, whatever, to move him out of the tent, because it came from none of the witnesses that Austin Karmelo was jumped. That's not the case. That's not what was said by 21 witnesses. Not a single person said Karmelo was jumped. I believe they all said that Austin went up. He walked up to move him. He hadn't even put his hands on him yet. And at that time, it was a one fluid motion. Austin's hands were up. Karmelo stabbed him in the chest. That's not matching equal force. You don't have match with deadly force for self-defense. You have to match with whatever the force is that was dealt to you.
Isn't that the law?
Yeah, he was asked to leave that tent multiple times, and the prosecution called 21 witnesses. Hold on. The prosecution called 21 witnesses, and they all corroborated that. They all said that he was asked to leave the tent. There was no, there might have been.
They all didn't have, no, sir. No,
He
sir.
was asked to leave the tent, so he could have left that tent at any time. He chose not to. That's why he's going to jail for 35 years.
All 21 of them did not have the same story. They did not have the same story. And that's why so many.
They didn't say the exact word as the other person next to them, but they all had this. It's like when you get interviewed by a cop. You have one friend in another room, another friend in the other room, and if they tell a story that is similar, but the details aren't too skewed, the cops are going to say it was the same story. It's the same thing here. Sure, I might not have said the same thing as Joe down the street, but if we have the same aligning story, it's the same thing. It's they all said the same thing, and like the reporter said, they all corroborated, however you say that word. They all said identical to the same story. But the minister is saying they didn't. Make it make sense.
People outside of that courtroom is outraged right now. If you look at anything about this case, all 21 of them did not have the same story.
Tell me about the defense witness, because the defense did not call Karmelo Anthony. If Karmelo Anthony truly thought he was innocent, he's 19 years old. He's not a kid. He's 19 years old. Why didn't he take the stand in his own defense? And why did the defense's only witness change their story on the witness stand?
Karmelo Anthony testifying in his own trial is his own right? And that's a decision that Karmelo Anthony and his parents has to make, right? And that was a decision that was made through the legal process, right? And through this process, of course, there's going to have to be some major reviews, right? But as far as changing the witness changing what he changing his testimony, I'm trying to figure out.
This dude is saying a whole lot of nothing. He just rambled on for 30 seconds and said the same thing over and over again, which was just Karmelo Anthony had the right to not testify. This guy is not building a case for Karmelo in the slightest.
How someone going to say he changed his testimony? Were you privy to his testimony prior to?
Well, he changed his testimony. He was, during cross-examination, he said that there was not an altercation under the tent, and he didn't witness an altercation. So I don't think that was something the defense was planning on, and clearly it didn't play well for this 12-person jury. Let me just ask you, can a black person ever just be convicted of killing a white person in this country without it becoming like a major race issue? Like some of the comments that you made outside the courthouse today, I don't know why you do that. You stir things up, you make it about race, and that could lead to rioting and protests and looting tonight. The bottom line is more people could get hurt. More people could get hurt.
I'm glad that you will say that, why do we have to bring race in the situation? The reality is that if you know about this
I didn't
case,
say we, I said you.
Why
do you? Why do you, Dominic? Not the black race.
No, let me make this very clear. As the president of the largest human and civil rights organization in North Texas, what I witnessed on April 3rd was white people going on posts in social media calling Karmelo Anthony a thug, not a 4.0 GPA, not a person that
well,
was
he's a
pending 62
convicted murderer
scholarships.
tonight, so he's a thug.
Let me finish.
He's a thug. He's not a hero.
No, I don't agree with that. I don't think he's a thug. I don't know whether to call it I'm sure he can say it was a mistake. I'm sure he regrets what he did. I don't know. I have seen no testimony from Karmelo. I don't think anybody has. I think he should have said something to show some kind of remorse at the hearing. That 100%. During the closing arguments, talk to the jury. I mean, they might have been able to swing a manslaughter instead of murder. Who knows? We can't go back in time. And I'm sure now that's why his entire team is trying to, let's appeal this now and let's show some remorse because this does not look good for you. Kind of like the whole Mackenzie Shirilla thing. I think now that her case is blown up and she's getting all this traction, it doesn't look good for her because all of the phone calls from prison are coming out between her and her mom, and she doesn't look remorseful at all. Now she's trying to backtrack and seem like she feels bad for what she did. But staying on track here.
He's not a hero.
I don't think he's a thug. Again, it was a one and done. Now, he had the 4.0 GPA or 3.8, whatever it was. He was in athletics. He was a athlete in itself, not just an athlete, but he was an athlete. He was for the most part, a good kid. I don't know what was behind the scenes. I don't know what was under the table. Again, from face value for what we saw, Karmelo Anthony was a grade A student. He wasn't always in trouble. There was nothing. It was he acted and made a mistake and murdered somebody for motives unknown. That's kind of what it comes down to. That is the end of this video. If you enjoyed the video, let me know. Drop a like on the video. If you're new here, press the subscribe button. Let me know in your comments down below. He did get 35 years. Let me know what you would have done if this was somebody in your family, or just your opinions overall of the case. Catch you in the next one.